everybody's having a great spring. I know I am. It's nice out, sun's out, but the wind is out, and that's never a good mix. You go outside and you think it's going to be warm, and cool wind changes your mind quickly. So, um, there's a lot of crazy things going on lately. We have a group of people out there that are kind of marching and demanding that their rights be taken away. Gun control is one of those things we've been talking about, the Second Amendment. And, there are good things going on. If you just focus on the news, you're going to get topics that like really are irrelevant. And sometimes you need to just take a step back and think of some good things that are going on. So I want to go over just a couple good things that have happened in the past, year or so. Remember Neil Gorsuch? He's a constitutionalist judge that was put on the Supreme Court. That is a giant victory for America moving forward for a long time. And also, the president has put a lot of conservative judges around the nation. And from what I've been reading, it's more than any other administration's put. More conservative judges has been placed by Trump than any other judge. He's turned out mostly to be a really conservative president. The tax reform, lower taxes, that's always a good thing. Anytime you can get tax money out of the hands of the government and into the people, that's a really good thing. So people are getting bigger paychecks, businesses are getting a break, and the government's bringing in record tax revenue. I don't know how good that is, but there is good. One thing that's good is the president has put in some religious protections by limiting the Johnson Amendment, making it to where, like, if a pastor preaches and talks about politics, you used to be able to get fined or lose your tax exemption status. That is much more limited now. And he's also implemented a religious freedom ambassador. From Kansas, Governor Sam Brownback. Sounds like he's totally qualified for the position, totally knows what he's doing. And this is a position, the religious freedom ambassador, that Obama never appointed. He left that space open. So this is going to be a good thing to have, and we should be glad that this president's looking out for the religious freedoms of America, because it's something that we need to keep a hold of, or we're going to lose it completely. So having a good ambassador there is important. Remember that ISIS has been mostly annihilated. I mean, there's still little sects of it out there that are doing their thing, but mostly they've been taken out, and that's awesome. You don't hear much about this on the news, unfortunately. Jerusalem embassy has been confirmed. They plan to move the embassy to Jerusalem. That's something that a lot of presidents talked about and promised, but nobody did. And now it's done, and it's a great for us to have allies with Jerusalem or Israel, and it's great for us to agree with them and know that we have your back. We believe that the capital is the actual capital, and to take that stand is good for the country. It's good for Israel, and it's good for us. There's a lot of new factories that are coming back or opening. There's new mines that are opening. I was hearing that the United States has been selling and drilling and selling a lot of oil versus purchasing it all. So there's millions, I think 1.5 million barrels of oil ship out of the United States every day. And that's a big jump. So that's good. So when we look at Trump's administration, I mean, you can look at how he hires people and fires people. It seems like it's chaos. And he does have a lot of turnaround. But I think instead of looking at it as a bad thing, let's look at it as movement. He's trying to get the best people in, his people in. They're going to agree with his agenda and try to get what he wants done. And he's trying to do that. And if some people aren't working out, you move on. Trump's always been a guy that's hired and fired people, and it's always become a joke. But in reality, if people aren't getting the things done you need done, you're going to have to move on. You're going to have to find somebody with a passion that creates a good environment for you to work well. And I think he's working to do that. Like H.R. McMaster has been ousted, and John Bolton, who seems like he is an experienced national security, a guy that could be experienced enough to be a national security advisor. I think this will be interesting. It's a big deal considering how it looks like Kim Jong-un wants to come and basically come to the negotiating table and maybe denuclearize. That's awesome. So there's some good news. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about that stuff, but I do want to talk about some other things. Like, as us as Christians see like how sometimes Christians, we don't mobilize as we should. And we're too worried about how things are going to work out and what. But I just think that we all have a part to play. We got to find our place to where we can go in and we can find what God called us to do. And God just doesn't send you out there to do something and leave you on your own. In the Bible, there's a lot of examples where it talks about how God prepares the way ahead of time. In 1 Kings chapter 17, Elijah goes up to King Ahab and tells him, hey, there's no rain till I say so. And then afterwards, the king's probably pretty ticked off at this point. So 1 Kings 17 verse 2 says, and the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. And it shall be that thou shalt eat of the brook, and I have commanded ravens to feed thee there. That's interesting. God gives him explicit directions. He's already commanded birds to feed him. There's already a plan in place. Elijah can go anywhere he wants, do anything he wants, but the supply is where God told him to go. That's the same for us. We may be waiting for something to happen for us to move forward, and we're not seeing it. Maybe we're not in the right place. Maybe we need to move forward. Maybe we need to go where God told us to be, and that's where the supply is. So Isaiah 45, it talks about, again, talking about God preparing the way. Isaiah 45:2 says, I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I like that. Another translation says, level the mountains. So God will go before us and level the mountains. I will break in pieces the gates of iron and cut in sunder the bars of iron. Or break in pieces the gates of brass and the bars of iron. I will give thee treasures of darkness and the hidden riches of secret places, that thou may know that I am the Lord, which call thee by name, the God of Israel. So God goes ahead of us. He breaks down things. He levels the playing field, and he puts supernatural connections in place so that you can accomplish what he called you to do. You're not on your own in this. God is supernaturally putting people in your path in the future to help prepare what you have to do. Deuteronomy 30, I didn't put the reference. The Lord your God, which goeth before you, he shall fight for you according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. So he'll go before you, and he also fights for you. This is important to realize. God goes ahead and prepares a way for Christians to come in and do his work. God doesn't just send us where he hasn't already gone. And so basically, God's in the future, and he's waiting for us to find out what he called us to do, and he's already prepared the way. He's prepared us. There's things inside of us that we probably don't even know about. Like, for instance, me, this show, I never knew that this was inside me to do. I would have never done it on my own. And here I am. And it's making a difference. It's awesome. It's good to do. It's good to move in what God called you to do, because it really gives you fulfillment. And we are after more. We're after more than just a salvation here and there. We are after the nations. Jesus' inheritance is the nations. So moving in and taking on nations, we have to realize that Trump may be like a chaos candidate. He comes in, he stirs it up, he's the outsider. He stirs the pot, he creates chaos to distract the enemy. And this opportunity where he is given Christians the chance to move in and take territory. It's time for us to just stop being the happy Christians in the church. We got to move in and take territory. We got to go back to the 7 mountains. The family, the business, the media, the church, education, arts, and government. We just don't influence the world or the nation in the prayer closet. We've got to go out there and start a business. We've got to go out there and produce media. We got to preach in the churches. Pastors should start talking about politics. We got to get involved in education and make sure the children are learning the right things. We must move to take influence. We need to seek God and let Him show us our place and where we take territory. We got to learn our place. What territory do we take? Small groups are a good place to get started. You can get with a group of people of similar likeness that want to do the same things as you, and as a group, you can start to move and take over. You can't always do it alone. You know, when Jesus would meet with the disciples, they would often meet in a house, not necessarily a warehouse. So houses, typically you can hold 10 or 12 people. He had 12 disciples. So small groups are a powerful way to do this. So I encourage everybody to seek the Lord, find out what of these 7 territories He may have called you to, and start to take influence, and let's rebuild this nation God's way, the constitutional way. And so let's remember, it's your duty to vote. You can go to ivoterguide.com to get info and quickly make a decision. You can get more information from wallbuilders.com. And remember to vote biblical values. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much.